Hi everyone, today on Coaster Idiot we are talking about Shaman at Gardaland, the first big looping coaster installed in Italy and also the first big investment of Gardaland. But going back to this Magic Mountain, in 1984 it was the first big thrill coaster in Italy, the first looping coaster in Italy, and the first big investment of Gardaland. So Shaman, or Magic Mountain, call it whatever you want, is an historic coaster for both Italy and Gardaland, and in my opinion is also the most influential coaster in Italian's coaster history. Shaman was also my first looping coaster. In fact, I remember one of my first visits to Gardaland when I was like 5 or 6 years old, where I saw this huge coaster. Obviously it was not so huge, but I was really young and short, and I wanted to ride it so much, but I was only a little stupid boy. I had my first ride on this classic only in the November of 2013, when my dad brought me and my family to the park for my mom's birthday. But at that time I didn't know a thing. During the fall-winter period, Gardaland opens only during the weekends in a seasonal event that is called Gardaland Magic Winter. That basically means you have a reduced price on the ticket and a lot of attractions are closed. About the attraction being closed, I don't know if it works like that still today, but I remember that when I discovered that all the big coasters except for Magic Mountain, yes, it was still called like that, were closed, I was really disappointed. I absolutely wanted to ride Blue Tornado. The Park SLC. Yes, donated me, but I wanted to ride that pile of garbage so much because it looked so cool and my father told me that it was really extreme and I obviously didn't know what an SLC was. But back to Magic Mountain. After the first ride where I was really scared, I remember marathoning that coaster all day, also because the park was really empty and the trains always got dispatched half empty. Well, after that day, Magic Mountain instantly became my favorite coaster. Also because it was the only big coaster I've ridden, but
we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
The layout of the coaster consists of a left turn over this station that brings you into this super long 30 meters chain lift hill that is fantastic because this ride is located in what was called the Luna Park area of Gardaland and is the area nearest to the Garda Lake, and from Shaman lift you can see some epic views of the Garda Lake. This view is even better at night. Then, after the pre-drop, you have another left turn that brings you to the 22 meters and 60 degrees inclined first drop that provides a nice pop of floater airtime if you're sitting in the back of the train. Then you have a series of 2 vertical loops, the so-called killer loop. These loops are really strange because they are squeezed to the high and they are not so wide and offers different experiences depending on which row you are sitting. If you're sitting in the front row, you will have the sensation of rolling back in both loops. Instead, if you're sitting in the back row, you'll be getting pulled to those loops with an awesome whip, but I have to say that in those loops there's zero hang time. After the loop, there's a small hill that provides a nice pop of airtime. Then you have a right turn that flows into the corkscrew section. The corkscrew are nothing special and are pretty forceless, but I have to admit that they are really scenic. After that you enter a 540 degrees left helix and then you arrive on the final brake run. The layout is pretty mild and nothing special today, but when the coaster was built in 1984 it was something out of this world for the Italian audience. So, as I said before, this coaster is a piece of history for Gardaland and for Italy. Plus, this coaster is super important for the Gardaland lineup because it's the only coaster in Italy that goes upside down multiple times with a minimum height of 120 centimeters. This means that 5 or 6 years old kid could go on this coaster completely alone. You heard that, Mirabilandia? Completely alone, 4 inversions and over-the-shoulder restraints at 6-year-old. So, if you haven't understood yet, it's essential for Gardaland to keep this classic coaster in a good shape for the younger guests, but there's a big problem, and this problem is called Italy not having a roller coaster culture. Because enthusiasts all over the world know that the double looping corkscrew model originally made by Aerodynamics is a lot far from being an intense coaster. But the average Italian GP who brings his son to the park and sees the double loop will say, "No, you can't ride it, it has 2 loops, it's way too intense for you." And after that, they will go marathoning Mammoth or Kung Fu Panda Master all the day. Another problem deals with the Italian language, because in Italian we call the vertical loop Giro della Morte, that if we want to translate in English means Ring of Death. That is not so lovely and not family friendly at all. But this problem is with the Italian language and nothing could be done with it. Okay, so probably at this point you'll be asking yourself, why am I here watching a video about an old clone coaster?
No, he's got a point.
Let me explain that. During his life, Magic Mountain, or Shaman, got a lot of refurbishment and minor improvement that no one noted, but I'm here to talk about them.
Okay, let's go.
When Magic Mountain opened in 1984, the track was white, the supports were light green, and the train were the OG ones made by Aerodynamics, because Vekoma at that time didn't manufacture it. They were purple painted, with the Gardaland logo clearly visible in the front of the first car, and during the following years a small lake with small waterfalls, flower and vegetation was created under the section of the helix, adding some theming to the ride. In 1999, the supports got painted with a darker green and some water effects were added in the lake, and the arrow trains got repainted with the most iconic skin of the history of this ride. They were painted of a vibrant yellow with a green line on the side. During the 2005 season, when Sequoia, the SNS Screaming Squirrel, themed to a lumber mill, was added inside the track of Magic Mountain, some bark theming was added to the supports of the ride near to the new attraction. In 2009, in occasion of the 25th year of operation of the ride, was planned a retheming to the Bigfoot monster, but this retheming never took place and only the trains were changed. In fact, Magic Mountain received the new MK1212 trains by Vekoma that offers the new vest restraints and eliminate all the headbanging. They are painted of brown and still operates today. I have to admit that I never rode Magic Mountain with the old Aero trains, but I know that they are hated all over the world, and these MK1212 trains are really game changer for these old coasters. In fact, they are the same trains that were added to Blue Hawk at Six Flags Over Georgia and to Python at Efteling. But the big change took place for the 2017 season, when the attraction was rethemed to the shamanic rituals of Native Americans, where the attraction changed name in Shaman. The station was completely rethemed with a lot of dream catchers, plumes, and the ceiling was covered with cloth like the ones used for teepees and tents. Then a huge stargate with dream catchers and a big bird on it was added at the exit of the helix, and the biggest addition of the retheming was the addition of the virtual reality. I think that this retheming wasn't so bad and gave new life to the attraction that was slowly dying without any improvements in the previous years. But the most important part of the restyling, in other words, the VR, was removed the following year for 2 main reasons. The VR affected negatively the ride capacity, because the distribution and recollecting of the VR visors was super slow. Then the video was not synchronized with the actual ride and was a really disappointing experience. Plus some guests started saying that the mix of the ride and the video not synchronized was really nauseating. So the VR was removed and the attraction continued operating with the new theming, but without the not so good new main feature. But the video that you could see on the VR is still visible on some TVs in the queue line. But another enormous change happened during the 2020 off-season, when the track starting from the end of the drop till the final brake run was dismantled and sent to the scrapyard, so everybody started thinking about the end of the life of this historic attraction of Gardaland. But no, Shaman got a retracking like Python and Efteling in 2018, and also some supports were themed to totems, which are really cool. The design of the track used for Shaman retrack was similar to the Python one, but the manufacturer was not the same. In fact, the Python track was manufactured by the Belgian company CSM, instead of the Shaman track that is thought to be manufactured by a local manufacturer from Padova, in Italy. That also manufactured the original track of Gale Force at Castaway's Playland Cove. So, connect the dots, this coaster is still rough after the retracking. I mean, it's not unbearably rough, but for sure you don't expect this experience from a freshly retracked coaster. But the roughness is not the biggest problem of this ride, because after the second corkscrew, your head will be brutally smashed into the metal bar of the Veseris reins, causing you a bad headache. This problem is known because the park added some leather pads to the side of your head, trying to reduce the big. Rumors says that these pads were added after a guest hit the metal bar so hard that blacked out. Okay,
safety is number one.
But we don't know if that problem is due to an assembly error or to a manufacturing problem. Maybe this problem appeared because the supports weren't changed. I personally think that all the track work is really poor, but we don't know. We aren't even sure if the manufacturer is the same as Gale Force. We can only see that the train is marking the rail really bad, and this thing only happens in this section of track, and this means that both the track and the trains are being stressed over the normal level. This is dangerous and could cause a serious problem to the integrity of both tracks and trains, so I hope Gardaland will fix this issue during the 2021 off-season. I had 3 rides on this coaster last summer, and I guarantee that this punch ruins all the experience that has slightly improved during the rest of the ride. I personally hope that Gardaland will fix this problem, but I don't think it will ever happen, and with the attraction in this state, it's better if they dismantle everything, including Sequoia Magic Loop. Okay guys, if you have arrived at this point, I thank you for watching. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to be sure you don't miss the future videos. And I'll see you soon on Coaster Idiot.